Hello, and thank you for watching this April 18th weather update, brought to you by Agrible, the makers of Morning Farm Report. My name is Eric Snodgrass, and I'm a senior atmospheric scientist and co-founder of Agrible. In last week's update, we forecast the big warm-up for the eastern half of the country that moved in toward the end of last week. On Sunday, abundant sunshine pushed Illinois to be the warmest state in the lower 48. That's right, Illinois was even warmer than Florida by 2 degrees. The state average temperature for Illinois at 3 p.m. on Sunday afternoon was 79 degrees Fahrenheit, making it feel more like summer than mid-April. The cause for all of this warmth was immediately evident on the satellite imagery. Clear skies and southerly winds made for a great weekend if you were east of the large mass of clouds building across the central United States. Over the last 3 days, our weather patterns have made a distinctive and decisive shift from the first half of April. To understand what has happened, we need only to look at the winds in the jet stream. The first half of April was marked by a deep trough of cold air over the eastern third of the country. At the end of last week, that trough exited the northeastern part of the U.S., and we have now entered a flow pattern that meteorologists like to call an omega block. Essentially, the flow of the jet stream is such that there's a pair of cutoff upper-level lows separated by a large ridge in the jet stream. The wind flow traces out the Greek letter omega. This time of year, if you are fortunate to be underneath the ridge, above average temperatures and dry conditions will prevail until the block is forced to break down and move. Hence, the extremely nice weekend the eastern half of the country was able to experience. In Illinois, field prep and planting got going in a huge hurry, as this has been the first dry stretch that we have had so far this year. As of last week, planting progress stood at about just 2% in Illinois, but I expect that to change a lot once the new week's numbers come in. While the eastern half of the United States has enjoyed this new weather pattern, the central states from Texas to the Dakotas have been dealing with the biggest consequence of a blocked flow pattern in the jet stream, and that is persistent precipitation. Radar animations from Sunday show exactly where the problem areas will be early this week. In northern Texas and nearby states, we've already had a dozen reports of tornadoes and about 100 reports of both hail and severe winds, as some of the storms of the last 3 or 4 days have been quite severe. But what we're watching is the spread of this precipitation across a broad area of the United States that grows a lot of grain. The problem is that this stream of moisture, which we call the Maya Express, will be hanging around for some time. Precipitation totals through Tuesday are forecast to exceed 3 inches across many of the Great Plains states from Texas to Nebraska. By midweek, the rain finally starts to spread east, but the 5-day precipitation totals show that eastern Texas will be the main target, as more than 5 inches of rain and potentially much more will fall for the first half of this week in that region. This area through the Delta has already seen too much rain over the last 2 months, and this next wave of precipitation will continue the planting delays and force many to replant along the Delta. However, we are expecting nearly all of the Corn Belt, though, to receive some precipitation this week. My Tractor Time hourly forecast shows that the first chance of rain for my fields in east central Illinois come mid-morning on Tuesday. However, that will make more than 8 days since the last time we had some rain in this part of the U.S. Well, let's turn back to the temperature forecast. With such warm temperatures across most of the Corn Belt and planting progress ramping up, we need to look for the threat of a frost in the short-term forecast. A quick animation of the 10-day forecast for surface air temperatures show how the sub-freezing temperatures stay for the most part in Canada. We watch closely this time of year for quick-hitting cold fronts to dip south, and as of early Monday morning, the probability of a sub-freezing air mass spreading into the Corn Belt over the next 10 days is pretty small. Temperatures in Minneapolis, for example, which is a much more northern location in the Corn Belt, will cool off after the weekend's warmth as precipitation moves in this week, but daily high and low temperatures through next weekend stay in the upper 50s and 60s, with lows trying to dip into the mid-40s by the middle of the week. Still, no below freezing air is in the forecast for the next 8 to 10 days. Farther south, in Champaign, Illinois, the week starts off warm, but even as the rain moves east, temperatures hang on in the upper 60s and lower 70s, with lows that don't even touch the upper 40s until the end of the week. So you can see that the threat of a frost in the short-term forecast is very small. So with that, I have one final comment to make, though. This summer, we will be on the lookout for blocking weather patterns like we are currently seeing. Should something like this set up in July, the heat stress can be really impactful on corn yields. Get something like this going in August, and beans in Iowa, Illinois, and Indiana can suffer due to heat and dryness. I'll be watching closely for a situation like this so that you know and are prepared several days before the stress hits should a pattern like this set up again. Well, as always, we at Agrible bring you the latest and best weather forecast information through our morning farm report so that you can efficiently plan your operations. We thank you for your attention and hope you look forward to our next weather video update. Thank you.